So the group stage of the World Cup is officially over, and as you can tell with my shirt, this is going to be a fully World Cup themed episode. I'm going to be going over the group stage, some of the storylines, the things that happened group by group, and I'm going to be talking about like all of the good things, like the football-based things that this World Cup has brought so far. And of course, I'm going to talk about the round of 32 games, give some predictions as to what I think will happen in those games. I'm not going to predict the whole bracket because that'll take way too long. So I'm just going to be talking about this, and then maybe I'll make another video in a few days once the round of 32, maybe round of 16, quarterfinals gets done, and make some predictions based on that. But as of now, I'm just going to talk about the good stuff. Like I made a video talking about all the bad stuff, controversies, problems surrounding the World Cup a couple days ago. You can go watch that if you want to have like the maybe more juicy stuff. This is just the full football stuff, just like the stuff that's happened on the field, the stuff that I'm interested in, the stuff that actually makes this tournament good, and the stuff that I've enjoyed so far when it comes to this tournament so far, all those storylines, all that fun stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about today. It's going to be a full World Cup themed episode. So thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the 365 podcast. If you do enjoy it, please let me know by showing your support on this episode in any way you possibly can. So let's get right into it. We're going to start with the groups. We're going to go group by group based on the teams, the points. I have it all written down here. Stuff that happened, storylines that happen, and interesting things and opinions that I have based on stuff that happened. I didn't watch every single game, but I watched a good amount of games, and obviously I know all the scores basically that happened. So I know like basically the ideas behind it, the storylines behind it. But yeah, if I make a mistake somewhere, let me know in the comments. Correct me in any way you can. Of course, I'm open to any types of criticism on my football takes. Obviously, this is a football themed podcast. Obviously, a lot of it is based on football. So of course, I'm going to be talking about this. This stuff is stuff that I really enjoy talking about. So that's what I'm going to be here doing. So let's start with Group A. Group A, you had Mexico finishing first, 9 points. South Africa second on 4 points. South Korea third on 3 points, and Czech Republic fourth on 1 point. So Mexico did well. Mexico looked really good. They did not concede a goal in the 3 games that they played. They won 2-0, 1-0, and 3-0. Did not concede a goal in the 3 games they played. They looked pretty good. All three of the host nations, to be fair, have looked very, very good. And the surprising thing in the group was South Africa. South Africa beat Korea on the final day to qualify, and Korea actually got knocked out because of it. I'll get into that. The third place teams, Korea got knocked out. 3 points was not enough for them to make it through. I believe it was 3 points and a -1 goal difference. It was not enough for them to get through. And Czechia kind of flopped a little bit. I thought they'd do a little bit better, to be honest with you, but they flopped. They flopped, to be honest. And they lost 3-0 to Mexico, but Mexico really dominated this group from start to finish. To be fair, like in the Korea game, it was a big mistake from the goalie that led to the goal, which was like, it's like, there's been some weird goalkeeping in this tournament. There's definitely been a lot of good goalkeeping, but there's been a lot of mistakes and like stupidity playing out the back type of thing, and just like shots that should have been saved but didn't get saved in this tournament. Really, that's kind of been the case. But Mexico have done well, and even it was a nice, beautiful thing that Ochoa came in for like the final 15 minutes or so of the game against Czechia, the final game. That was a very sentimental thing, very fun thing, very cool that the Mexico coach did that. That they actually ended up making that thing happen. He's done his like last dance, unless some injury happens to their starting keeper. Like Ochoa's come in, he's done his last dance, he's played his final minutes in the World Cup, and it was cool. It's cool. It was cool to see. It was cool to kind of be a part of. I was watching the game. I had to go to bed early, so I didn't see all of it. But I saw him come in, saw him get his first few touches. Like it was a great thing to see. It was a great moment to watch. Definitely one of the highlights of the tournament so far. That whole sentimental thing, and of course, yes, South Africa being the shock. Right, that's kind of the shocking thing. Like when I watched the first game, South Africa looked appalling. I'm gonna be honest; they looked terrible in the first game, like, against Mexico. Mexico won 2-0, but it really should have been way more because South Africa looked very bad. So how they managed to get a draw against Czechia and then beat Korea, I honestly don't know. That probably is one of the bigger shocks of the tournament. I'm gonna be honest. South Korea getting knocked out of this group, and South Africa qualifying. Obviously, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining as a Canada fan wearing the shirt, of course, because that means that in the round of 32, it's Canada versus South Africa that is going to be the matchup. So obviously, I'm going to go through the round of 32 fixtures later. So I'm not really complaining because I saw how South Africa played. Obviously, they put it together somehow, but I'm excited for that matchup, and it literally is today. It's on the same day that I'm recording this episode. Obviously, probably by the time you're watching this, maybe the result already happened, depending on the time you're watching this, the time it actually gets uploaded. But that's what happened in that group. Mexico really dominant. Mexico looking really, really good. Group B, Switzerland first, 7 points. Canada in second on 4 points. Bosnia in third on 4 points. And Qatar in last on 1 point. So Canada looked good. Canada looked good. I think you look at Canada's team and Canada like the third wheel when it comes to the host nations, right? Mexico, US, Canada. We looked good. I'm gonna be honest. We looked good. We were a little bit unlucky against Switzerland. We kind of started a little bit poorly against Switzerland. I honestly don't know how Qatar managed to get a point against Switzerland. I didn't watch the game, but like considering how Canada came in and they just absolutely demolished Qatar 6-0. That was the one game that they had to win to make it through, and they did win that game. They got the draw against Bosnia, and of course Bosnia also beat Qatar pretty comfortably. So I honestly don't know how Qatar got a point against Switzerland. I don't know how that happened, but I guess it was like first match week of the World Cup upset. Like Qatar conceded a lot of goals. They did not do very well at all. But they got a little. I guess they got like the only thing you can really say is they got a little bit lucky in the first game. They got a point, but they were never going to threaten in this group. Canada did their job. They did what they needed to do. They beat Qatar. They got a draw against Bosnia. They finished second. They've put themselves in solid position. They couldn't get it done against Switzerland, unfortunately. But Switzerland are a good team. They are a quality side, and it was pretty expected that they would win this group. So other than that little blip against Qatar, Switzerland have kind of cruised pretty comfortably through. And Switzerland have a decently tough matchup in the round of 32, and obviously I already talked about the Canada South Africa thing. So I'm pretty excited as a Canada fan. Obviously, there's three teams that I'm cheering for at this World Cup because that's my heritage. Like that's my those are my countries. If you don't know them, obviously I'm gonna reveal them. But if you do know them, you know what I'm gonna really be talking about. Canada, of course, is the first one because obviously I'm from Toronto and I'm recording these episodes from Toronto. This is where this is like the culture, right? This is my life. This is where I'm from. This is where I was born, right? Of course. So the fact that they finished second, very good, very positive stuff. Group C, Brazil in first on 7 points, Morocco in second on 7 points, Scotland third, 3 points, and Haiti in last with 0 points. So Brazil make it through. Brazil kind of get the job done in the end. I watched the Brazil-Morocco game when I went to Niagara, and it was a very boring game. It ended 1-1. But Brazil got the job done. Neymar came in for his minutes in the game against Scotland, and unfortunately for Scotland, they got knocked out as well. 3 points ended up not really being enough. The 3 points for Scotland, they had a -3 goal difference, so it was always going to be like relying on other teams' results. But Scotland get knocked out, unfortunately. Brazil and Morocco. Morocco finished second despite having 7 points. It's very interesting. Obviously, when I get to the future groups, you'll see some interesting differences that happen. But 7 points was not enough to win this group. So they finished second, Brazil in first. And Haiti, 0 points. Unfortunate for Haiti. But they competed. They competed. They only lost 1-0 to Scotland. They got cooked a little bit to Brazil, but they very well competed against Morocco. Like for first half at least, they were in the game. They were doing well, but obviously, Morocco were always going to win that game. But to be fair to Haiti, like they were kind of always out of their depth a little bit in this tournament, but they scored some goals. They made it competitive. They tried their best. They just couldn't really get it done, unfortunately, so they're getting knocked out as well. Last place, 0 points. But yes, that is Group C. Group D, USA, first place, 6 points. Australia, second place, 4 points. Paraguay, third place, 4 points. And Turkey, last place, 3 points. Turkey are probably the flops of the tournament. Along with another team that I'll be talking about later, Turkey are one of the two big flops of the tournament. Turkey are always they have a talented team like Arda Güler and Yildiz, and they got the kind of core team, but they, for whatever reason, when it comes to international tournaments, they've always flopped. Like 2022 they flopped, Euros they flopped. Like they're always like the people's popular choice for the dark horse, but they always flop. And Paraguay, to be fair to them, really kind of put a little bit of an upset here in this group. Like you probably thought like Turkey and Paraguay would be switched, or maybe Turkey would be second, but Turkey flopped, and sure they beat the U.S. in the final match week, but but that wasn't enough. So they're bottom of the group with 3 points, right? USA finished first on 6. It was pretty comfortable. Obviously, a little bit of a blip in the final game, but they had already secured first place because they beat Australia and Paraguay. But Australia making it through pretty expected. Paraguay, it was definitely a little bit of an upset. It was when they beat Turkey 1-0, right? That was what helped them. That was what helped them go through. So a little bit of an upset there, but now they're going to be playing a pretty tough team in Germany in the round of 32. So it's unfortunate for them, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. They're definitely not out of it, and they're definitely not a team to be slept on for sure. Group E, the aforementioned Germany, top of the group, 6 points. Ivory Coast second with 6 points as well. Ecuador in third place with 4 points, and Curacao last place with 1 point. It's unfortunate for Curacao because they're another team that was like really out of their depth, but their goalie Room put on a very good performance against Ecuador, and Ecuador for the first 2 games looked like they were really gonna flop in this tournament. They didn't score a goal. They drew 0-0 to Curacao, but somehow they managed to pull off a crazy upset, pulled it out of the bag, like literally like last second, beat Germany 2-1. And so they managed to make it through third place with 4 points. They just squeezed through. They benefit from the third place teams qualifying because they wouldn't have qualified otherwise. Because yeah, their first 2 games they did not look very good. They lost in the last minute against the Ivory Coast, and they couldn't score against Curacao to save their lives. And so then Curacao had their moment in the tournament, but they were never really going to kick up much of a fuss. But they had their moment. They scored their goal against Germany. They had their draw against Ecuador. They pulled off a couple of moments, but Ecuador managed to put it together to win against Germany, and they managed to squeeze through. Ivory Coast are looking pretty good. They're looking pretty good, I'm not going to lie. And Curacao, they got their point, but unfortunately they're knocked out. Group F, Netherlands first place 7 points, Japan second place 5 points, Sweden third place 4 points, Tunisia last place 0 points. Tunisia are the second worst team in the tournament, which is pretty surprising because Tunisia have been at World Cups. They were at the last 2 World Cups. I didn't expect them to be this bad, but they have been horrible. They changed their coach mid-tournament, and that clearly did not help anything. Minus 10 goal difference, 0 points. Truly just absolutely appalling. Absolutely appalling. And there's only one team that was worse than them in this World Cup. I'll get to it when I get to the future groups. But the Netherlands, they've looked pretty good, admittedly. I didn't want them to do well. Like, I predicted the Netherlands would flop in this tournament. They can still absolutely lose in their round of 32 game. They have a tough matchup in their round of 32 matchup. So, if they lose there, then my prediction's verified and vindicated. But that was my prediction pre-tournament, was that the Netherlands was going to flop, but they have not looked like they've been flopping at all in this group. So, they pretty comfortably won the group. Japan, 5 points. Sweden, 4 points. That final game, it was Japan versus Sweden. It was a pretty boring match, 1-1 draw. Some interesting moments, but Japan have looked pretty good. Sweden have really been like hot and cold. I think Sweden are gonna flop a lot. I didn't even realize Graham Potter was Sweden's manager, and now that I know that, like now that as a Chelsea fan, that's really all I gotta say to that. Sweden make it through on 4 points, but they have a good team, but I feel like they're not gonna do well considering the team that they have because they don't really have a good coach and I believe they have they have the toughest matchup in the round of 32. It's very unfortunate for them, but I think they're not gonna kick up much of a fuss. But they made it through. And it's unfortunate for Tunisia, but I guess that's how the cookie crumbles, right? Group G, Belgium first place 5 points, Egypt second place 5 points, Iran third place 3 points, and New Zealand in fourth place on 1 point. I do not know how Belgium won this group, man. I'm gonna be honest. Like, Egypt have been looking very good. Like, I'm actually rooting for Egypt. I have a couple friends that are Egyptian. I'm actually, like, kind of just low-key, like, rooting for Egypt, hoping they do well. They look good. They look good. I don't know how Belgium managed to make it. They pulled it out because they kind of thrashed New Zealand a little bit. And I guess got a little bit lucky with the other results. You have in Group C, Morocco. They have 7 points, but they don't win the group. Belgium win the group with 5 points. Again, it's how the cookie crumbles. The groups can be a little bit different. Belgium, I think they got a little bit lucky to win the group, but what are you going to do, right? Egypt are looking good. I'm kind of rooting for them. Iran, pretty unfortunate to not qualify as well. Like, 3 points, 3 draws. They didn't lose a game. There was another group, actually the very next group that I'm going to talk about, where that exact result was enough to qualify. But unfortunately, just because of the layouts of the groups, Iran didn't make it. It's unfortunate for them. They just miss out. And New Zealand, 1 point. They actually kind of underperformed a little bit. I felt like, especially after that first game against Iran, I thought they'd do better, but they really did underperform. But Group H, Spain, 7 points. Cabo Verde, really the story of the tournament, the upset of the tournament, 3 points. Uruguay, 2 points. And Saudi Arabia in last on 2 points. So it's this group that I was mentioning. It's like Cabo Verde, they made it second place on 3 points, right? Iran are unlucky to get knocked out. Cabo Verde did the same thing. They didn't win a game, but they drawed all 3 games. They make it through on 3 points, right? So it's like it's interesting, right? You have teams that finished third on 3 points and didn't make it through, but Cabo Verde with the 3 draws, just because of the way the rest of the group went, they made it through on 3 points. Spain, 7 points. After that 0-0 draw against Cabo Verde, they put it together, they made it happen, and they pretty comfortably won the group. And Uruguay. If it's not Turkey, then Uruguay are the flops of the tournament for sure. They've looked pretty out of it. They look terrible, and they deservedly go and get knocked out, right? Because they're on 2 points, and 2 points was never going to be enough. If you finish third on 2 points, it was never going to be enough, right? So if Iran are unlucky, Uruguay are absolutely just terrible, right? And Saudi Arabia are in last on 2 points. Uruguay were goal difference away from being bottom of this group, which should have never happened when you were looking at the group before the tournament started. You would have never thought that this would have happened, right? So yes, flops of the tournament, 100%. Uruguay, Cabo Verde are the story of the tournament, the underdogs of the tournament. Again, very unfortunate the draw that they've been put in, but they're definitely one of the biggest stories of the tournament. They have the passion. They really just fought to the end, and they deservingly, in my opinion, make it through. Unbeaten team in the group stage. Listen, pretty good. Unfortunate for Iran, of course, they did the exact same thing, but they didn't qualify. Again, that's how the cookie crumbles. It's just like you have a team who gets 7 points, they don't win their group, but then a team that gets 3 points makes it through in second place. Another team that gets 3 points is eliminated, right? It's just how it goes, right? Kind of luck of the draw. That's why you got to perform. As your team, as a team, individual nation, you got to perform. You can't rely on other results to get you through, right? Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't, right? Cabo Verde I think they really deserve it. I think they really merit it. They really should have won the game against Saudi Arabia. But, that kind of lack of quality showing, right? They have a lot of passion, they have a lot of fire, desire, but yes, they lack that kind of star power. It showed a little bit in that game because they definitely should have won that game and they would have more comfortably made it through. But even still, the draw was enough in the end because Uruguay lost to Spain. And Uruguay, of course, just flopped and deservedly get knocked out. Group I, France, 9 points. Norway second, 6 points. Senegal third on 3 points. And Iraq in fourth on 0 points. So a couple of interesting storylines in this group. France looked absolutely insane. They looked absolutely dominant. I really do not want it because I do not want France to win this World Cup at all. Don't really like the French at all in any way, shape, or form. So it sucks to see just how good they're doing. Like a lot of players I don't like, and just the country I don't really like as well. So don't want them to do well, but they looked scary. They looked very, very threatening in this group stage. And it's going to take like some upset or some like, gritty, grindy game winning on penalties to knock this team out. They're really looking unstoppable right now. So it's very scary. I don't want it to happen, but it's looking pretty bad. Norway in second on 6 points. I predicted that Norway would be the dark horse for this tournament. And they definitely have the chance to make an upset or two. And they only have 6 points because in the game against France, they rested Odegaard and Haaland. And, I mean, they kind of did roll over and die a little bit in that game, to be fair. But they were always going to make it through, so they finished second on 6 points. Senegal third on 3 points. Senegal are the only team that finished on 3 points that qualified. Every other third-place team got 4 points, which to me, that was a weird thing. At the start of the tournament, I thought, 3 points finishing third would be enough to qualify for most teams. But that ended up not being the case, right? Korea got knocked out. Scotland got knocked out. Iran got knocked out. Because I guess just teams performed, right? Teams in the especially like final match week when they needed to make it happen, when push came to shove, they made it happen. They performed. They made it happen, and so then Senegal kind of squeezed through. They're the final of the third place teams to make it through. They're the only one that made it through because they actually had to beat Iraq. They had to destroy them. Winning 5-0 against Iraq in the final day, that was actually what helped them qualify. It was their goal difference. They're the only team with a positive goal difference out of the teams that finished third on 3 points. So they managed to squeeze through. They managed to make it happen. And unfortunate for Iraq, who are the worst team in the tournament, right? Tunisia was the second worst, but Iraq 0 points, minus 11 goal difference. Pretty bad, but to be fair to Iraq, it was kind of expected. It's kind of, at least for me, I personally expected them to do pretty bad, but it's kind of sad how they just rolled over and died. They got their goal, right? They scored a goal at least, which you can't say about another team that's coming up, but they got a goal, but unfortunately it was never really going to happen for them. So yes, 9-6-3-0, that's this group, and Senegal squeezed through again. It was a very interesting thing because I thought 3 points would be more than enough, but for a lot of teams, they're getting knocked out because it was not enough. Group J, Argentina first place, 9 points. Austria second place, 4 points. Algeria third place, 4 points. And Jordan in last with 0 points. Argentina are another one of the teams I'm rooting for, man. Messi has just been absolutely electric, just getting the job done for this team. And against Jordan, they actually didn't even dominate. Really, they dominated, but they only won 3-1. To be fair to Jordan, they finished bottom with 0 points, but they were competitive in all 3 matches. They scored in all 3 matches, which I thought Jordan was going to be one of the worst teams as well. So credit to them, fair play to them. It's a little bit kind of harsh that they have 0 points and minus 6 goal difference or something like that, but they competed. They tried their best, but it was always going to be a tough one for them. And Austria-Algeria played silently. They played out a crazy 3-3 draw yesterday as well, which was pretty interesting. But that allowed both of them to finish on 4 points and allowed both of them to make it through. And of course, Argentina, dominating performances. Messi doing his thing, literally just play the ball to Messi, and that strategy is working pretty well for them. And I think we have a huge chance of winning the World Cup back-to-back. I'm going to say it. Argentina absolutely have a huge chance. I'm Argentinian. My roots are also Argentinian, so that's one of the 3 teams I'm supporting in this tournament, along with Canada and the other team, which is coming up in the next group. Which obviously I'm sure you know. If you know my story, you know where I've been in my life. You know where I'm going with that one. But Argentina are looking very good as well. They're one of 3 teams to win their group on 9 points, right? Win all 3 games. Mexico, France, and Argentina, the only 3 teams to do that. So they're looking good. I'm feeling pretty good about them and about their performances, and of course about the run. Argentina have a pretty freaking easy route to the final. I'm gonna be honest. They're gonna have to beat maximum Brazil or England, and that's gonna be the hardest team they'll have to face throughout. That other side of the bracket is a lot more difficult for the teams that are having to deal with that, right? So they're looking good. Algeria and Austria made it through. We'll see what happens with them. If you watch the group podcast we made, Zolt, one of my friends, predicted Austria to be one of the dark horses of the tournament. And they looked okay, but they have a pretty tough draw in the round of 32. So if a dark horse is going to make it happen, obviously I'll talk about the round of 32 fixtures. But yes, they looked okay, but not anything that really inspired, really, let's say. Group K, Colombia in first on 7 points, Portugal in second on 5 points, DR Congo third on 4 points, and Uzbekistan in last on 0 points. So, yeah, Portugal, man. That's obviously the third team. If you didn't put the pieces together already, that is the third team that I'm supporting in this tournament. I honestly, the one thing I'm missing is a Portugal jersey. I should probably go get a Portugal shirt in some regard, at least for the round of 32 game. Obviously, I'll talk about the narrative behind that as well. But we're really about to see Roberto Martinez ruin 2 golden generations. He already ruined the Belgium golden generation, and he is in the process of ruining this Portugal golden generation. You can blame the players too, because some of the effort I've seen on that pitch, not really the greatest. I don't think you can blame Ronaldo for it. The game yesterday against Colombia, man, they deserved to lose. It deserved to be way worse, but they got lucky that it was a 0-0 draw still. They don't honestly, they have not looked good. they thrashed Uzbekistan, but Uzbekistan were never gonna do anything. They're not a good team. They finished bottom on 0 points, right? They made it competitive against the Congo, to be fair to them as well, but it was never gonna happen for them. It was never gonna happen for them. So Portugal got the win in that game, and then 2 draws. Okay, unbeaten. Sure, you can look at it and say, oh, they were unbeaten, but it's not looked good. It's looked slow. The play's been very slow out the back. They've just been kind of nonchalant, like just meandering along, like la di da di da type of football. Not good stuff, and it's not stuff that's going to beat the big teams. Portugal are in that side of the bracket where they're going to have to probably beat Spain. They're going to play Croatia first, right? They're going to have to beat Croatia, a good Croatia team, a team that obviously I'm going to get to in the final group. Croatia, they're going to have to beat Croatia. They're going to have to beat Spain, perhaps. They're going to have to beat France just to get to the final, right? Like, it's a hard round. It's a hard route for them, and they've shot themselves in the foot. They could have been on the other side of the bracket, which was a lot easier. They needed to beat Colombia. They didn't do it because they were just playing kind of slow, and that's what we're dealing with, right? So we're really looking at that, right? Fair play to Colombia. Colombia have been looking pretty good. They looked very good. I think they deserve to win the group, absolutely. They probably deserve to win the group on 9 points because they definitely deserve to beat Portugal. Like, I'm being completely honest. Like, it's a very pessimistic sentiment with the Portuguese right now, if I'm going to be real. And DR Congo in third place on 4 points. Good for them, right? Good for them. They kind of qualified through that playoff. They have a solid team. I looked at the Congo team; they look pretty good. So I'm just looking here in terms of who they're playing against. They got a tough draw, but they absolutely can beat the team they're going to play. And Uzbekistan, unfortunately, again, one of those teams that were never really going to do well. Again, to be fair to them, they competed, they tried their best, but they were never really going to do well. They were one of those teams that were pretty out of their depth, so bottom on 0 points, unsurprisingly. And then the final group, Group L, England win the group on 7 points, Croatia in second on 6 points, Ghana in third on 4 points, and Panama in last on 0 points. England also looked a little bit flat. I'm gonna be honest; they looked a little bit flat, but they made it happen. They pulled it out. The stars shined. Right, Kane got 3 goals. He helped them make it through. And top of the group, 7 points. Really, you can't really complain if you're an England fan right now. At least that's my opinion. Croatia, again, another dark horse team, another interesting prediction. Andrew on the group podcast. If you didn't watch that we made, he predicted Croatia to be the dark horse. They've been looking pretty good considering you feel like they're old. Like, Modric is 40 years old. Like, they're really, really at the end of their golden generation. They were at the end of their golden generation in 2022, really, in my opinion, but they still got to third place. They're really at the end here, but they're still kicking, and they're still trying their best, and they will compete, right? And they have been competitive. Second place on 6 points. And Ghana doing pretty well. Ghana have a solid team too. They make it through on 4 points, third place. And it's very unfortunate for Panama, man, because Panama are probably the team that really don't deserve it, right? They're bottom of the group, 0 points, no goals scored. But they have been competitive in all 3 games that they played, man. They lost 1-0 to Ghana, 1-0 to Croatia, and 2-0 to England. They've been competitive. It's unfortunate that Panama are the only team that have not scored a goal in this tournament, considering some of the poor quality of some of the other teams. It sucks for them. Like, there's some very passionate Panama fans in the city of Toronto and throughout all 3 countries. So it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate that they couldn't put it together, but they were competitive in all 3 games. It really is like a false unlucky number for them that they finished bottom with 0 points, minus 4 goal difference, 0 goals scored. It's unfortunate, but they tried their best. They really did. They were really competitive. They maybe deserved at least a point or at least a goal, but what are you gonna do, right? It happens, right? It was like they were always kind of punching above their weight as well a little bit, because this is definitely one of their first few World Cups. At least they're still a newer team. If not, it might be their first World Cup. I don't know, but they're definitely a newer team to the World Cup scene. So it's unfortunate for them, but they don't make it. Ghana does make it. So when it comes to the third place teams, 4 points. 4 points was the number, right? Out of the 8 third place teams that made it, 7 of them had 4 points. The only team that had 3 points was Senegal, because they beat Iraq on the final day to have the goal difference to make it through. Iran got a little bit unlucky. Korea and Scotland, of course, didn't make it. I personally thought that 3 points were going to be enough for the third place teams. But turns out that's not the case, right? Uruguay and Turkey are the flops of the tournament and the flops of the group stage for sure. For sure, for sure. And the surprise packages of the group stage, I'd say Cabo Verde, of course, being the number one. I'd say South Africa. Pretty surprising results. And the Congo a little bit. The DR Congo a little bit because they came in from the playoff. They were kind of like they beat Jamaica, right? They beat Jamaica to get into this tournament. So they kind of scrapped to get here, but actually you look at their team, they have a good team, so maybe they shouldn't be big underdogs, big surprise stories. But yeah, that's the group stage. Those are the storylines. Those are all the things and the points and the topics, talking points that have happened as a result of this World Cup group stage. In my opinion, it's a little bit slow. It's been a little bit slow. There have been some interesting moments. Obviously, I've gone through all of it in extensive detail, but it's been a little bit slow. I am honestly kind of hoping that in the knockout rounds it'll start to get more intense. The matches, the quality will be more intense, more fun to watch. There were a lot of slow-paced games, a lot of boring games, a lot of draws, a lot of 0-0s, a lot of 1-1s in this group stage. But it was definitely interesting. Like, it was a little bit boring, but always interesting. Especially, like, obviously I'm a football nerd, football guy. Like, it was definitely very interesting. It was an interesting group stage. A lot of interesting things happen, but of course, you expect that because it's the World Cup. So, of course, you're going to expect that that's going to happen. So, now that that's done, I'm going to be going through the round of 32 fixtures, giving some predictions for each matchup, and of course, then maybe I'll review the predictions as we get to like the quarterfinals, semifinals type of thing. So, the round of 32 games that have been officially confirmed. Obviously, we now know exactly what it's going to look like in the knockout rounds. So, the first half of the bracket, this is going to be the harder half of the bracket where like a lot of the strong teams are. Canada versus South Africa. That's the first game. And, I'm backing my boys, man. I'm backing my boys in red. They're looking good. And even if South Africa pulled off a bit of an upset, I think this is definitely a favorable matchup. I'd rather play South Africa than Korea. So, I think Canada win 2-0. That's my prediction in that game. Canada versus South Africa. I think South Africa are actually the home team, so I think it's South Africa versus Canada officially. But I think Canada will pull it out, and I think it's definitely there for Canada to go on a run a little bit, make it to the quarterfinals a little bit, go on a little bit of a dark horse run. As one of the host nations, having that advantage as well. Even if we could have played in our country if we had beaten Switzerland or gotten a draw against Switzerland, but we're not gonna. But even still, as a host nation, dark horse of the tournament, it can happen. We definitely have the tools to make it happen. Second game, Netherlands versus Morocco. This is going to be one of the good games. It's going to be one of the contentious, interesting matchups of this round of 32 because like those are two big teams that really want to make a run. So that means one of these teams are going to get knocked out, right? Morocco, to be fair to them, are kind of unlucky because, again, you get 7 points in your group. You think you win your group, but not the case, right? So this is the opportunity for Morocco to make an upset, like Francesco and the episode I made with Francesco and talked about again in the group podcast episode, predicted Morocco to do well in this tournament, to say the least. So this is Morocco's chance to make a big statement. It's Morocco's chance to prove everybody in my friend group right about their predictions. If Morocco wins this game, and I'm going to predict Morocco to win just purely on the bias that I have, I think Morocco will win on penalties. 1-1 draw, Morocco wins on penalties. Actually, no, 2-2 draw. 2-2 draw, Morocco wins on penalties. That's my prediction for this matchup. I think it'll be a lively game. I'm increasing it to 2-2 because I think it'll be a lively game. And like this is Morocco's chance to prove everyone right. My friends predicted Morocco to do well in this tournament, and I predicted the Netherlands to flop. So if this goes well for Morocco, then absolutely it will, we'll all be vindicated for our prediction. I'm actually gonna write down the predictions that I have. I'm literally like putting the predictions up like literally like on the fly, like as I'm thinking about it. So I'm gonna write down the scores. Hold on. Okay, Germany versus Paraguay. It's unfortunate for Paraguay because they really pulled off a bit of an upset, but they're coming against a German team who are looking pretty good. They're looking pretty strong. Obviously, they lost to Ecuador, and they had to grind it out against the Ivory Coast. But the Ivory Coast are a good team. Like you don't wanna underestimate them. Germany are looking okay. I think Germany will take this. I think Paraguay will make it hard. I think Paraguay will make it difficult for them. But I think Germany will win maybe 2-1 after extra time. That's what I'll say. 2-1 after extra time. That's going to be my prediction for the Germany Paraguay game. I think they'll make it tough. They'll make it tough for them, but Germany will get it done. France versus Sweden. This is the unfortunate reality here. Graham Potter, Sweden manager, as I was kind of talking about in the group stage, they got the worst draw. They got France, the team that are looking the most dangerous so far at this World Cup. And I honestly think Sweden will just roll over and die. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't think they will do anything. I am predicting 4-0 for France. France to win this game 4-0. I don't think Sweden will do anything. I think France will absolutely just dominate them completely. That's my opinion. Maybe Sweden will get a goal because France have definitely shown a couple like small frailties in the defense, but like just literally like small minuscule frailties. They're gonna do their thing. Spain versus Austria. Again, Austria dark horse shout. I think I like if there's a chance for you to be a dark horse, it is to make a big upset against a team like Spain. And clearly, we've seen that Spain are not perfect. They drew 0-0 to Cabo Verde, so clearly there's something there. There's some frailty there. But I don't think Austria have it. I'm gonna be honest. I do not think they have it. I think Spain will win this one pretty relatively comfortably as well. I think I'm gonna predict Spain to win 3-1. I think Austria will try. They'll have some chances, but I think Spain will turn it on a little bit. And like as Yamal's kind of getting back to full fitness, they'll turn it on a little bit as we get into the knockout rounds. But I think Austria will make it pretty competitive. Portugal versus Croatia. This is the big one because they are coming to Toronto. Portugal, there's a huge Portuguese community in Toronto, of course, me included in that Portuguese community in Toronto. It is going to be absolutely insane, electric, chaotic, whatever you want to call it. Crazy matchup, right? Portugal versus Croatia in Toronto. So, what do I think about this? What do I think about the actual scoreline? This is going to be another pretty interesting game. It's going to be a tough matchup. I honestly don't know. This can be absolutely anything. It can be absolutely anything, dude. Because Portugal have not looked good, but at the same time, like they have been known to turn it on against the bigger teams, and maybe in the knockout rounds, like maybe they just find a way to put it together, right? And Croatia, even if they are a dark horse shout, they are a little bit old, a little bit leggy, right? Portugal will have the fans on their side almost certainly. They'll have that like 12th man with them. So I honestly, it can go literally either way. I think this is maybe the one that could really actually go either way. Um, I'm gonna go bold. I'm gonna say Portugal wins 3-2 after extra time. Very biased, very biased. Admittedly, very biased prediction. I'm gonna be completely honest, but I'm gonna back them, and I'm gonna say that it will. I'm gonna say that the game will go on the route of an entertainment game rather than just a boring 0-0. I think it'll go down the route of entertainment. That it's optimistic. It's definitely ambitious, but you know what? I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna be ambitious. I'm not just gonna predict every game to be 2-1 or whatever. I'm gonna be ambitious with it. 3-2 after extra time. Like you know that when Portugal won the Euros, they did not win a game in normal time. So maybe that theme will continue a little bit. Obviously, we're 10 years down the line and with a completely different team. But I think just based on the culture of the way we've been playing, not being able to win in normal time, it feels right. It feels right. But whether it's penalties or extra time, or whether it's just a 0-0 boring draw, that's kind of the nuance and the difference there. I'm gonna go bold. I'm gonna go with that prediction. Belgium versus Senegal. I honestly think if there will be an upset, it's here. It's right, like it's right here. If there will be a crazy upset that you weren't expecting, it's right here. Belgium don't look good. I do not think Belgium have it. Their golden generation are really at the end of their age, right? De Bruyne's like 35. Lukaku's up there as well. If there's a game where there will be an upset, it is right here, Senegal. And I'm going to predict it. I'm going to say 1-1 draw, Senegal win on penalties. That's going to be my prediction for this match. I think if there is a game in the round of 32 that gets a big upset, it is right here. And I'm going to go for it too. USA versus Bosnia. So the last matchup in this half of the bracket. I think USA will take it. I think USA will ride the host nation type of vibe, bias. They'll have all the fans. Bosnia are not terrible, but they did look a little bit slow at times in the group stage. I'll be honest. I think it won't. I think it'll be. I think it'll be. I think it'll be close. I think this is a close game, but I think this is a USA victory. I'm gonna say 2-1 USA. Not after extra time. I think this will be normal time. 2-1 USA, and they'll make it through the next round. So that's the point. The point I'm trying to make is that this bracket is crazy. You have Portugal, you have France, you have Spain, you have Belgium, you have Germany, you have Netherlands. You have so many strong teams on this side of the bracket, and then you're going to see on the other side, it's nowhere near as contentious. So what I'm saying for Portugal, if they beat Colombia, they would have been on the other side, and it would have been an easier route to the final. They would have played Argentina in the quarterfinals if all went well, if they had won all their games. That would have been a crazy game. But now they'll only be able to meet Argentina in the final, right? That would be insane. Argentina-Portugal final of the World Cup would be ridiculous. But I don't see that happening. I see Argentina making it because of the way they're playing, but I don't see Portugal beating Spain and France and getting through all of these teams to make it. I just don't see it happening. Again, I want them to prove me wrong. I want Ronaldo to prove me wrong. I want all of them to lock in and truly show me the quality they have. But I just don't have the confidence. I don't really see that happening. But this is definitely the harder side of the bracket, 100%. So as we get to the second half, the other side of the bracket, first game, Brazil versus Japan. This will probably be competitive. I think this will probably be competitive. Japan will make it tough. They will make it tough, but I do think Brazil have enough. Brazil didn't look that bad during the group stage. I think Neymar will definitely. My prediction is Neymar will do something crazy in this World Cup. He'll have his big moment in this World Cup. That's my prediction. But will it be here or will it be later on? I'm not sure. He's just coming back from injury. Like, he might start the game, but even that's kind of a little bit. They're not really sure about that. So Japan will definitely make it competitive. I'm trying to think what the result would be. Japan will make it competitive. I think I'm going to predict 3-1. 3-1 to Brazil. I think maybe it'll be one of those where it's like it's 1-1 for like nearing the end, and then maybe Brazil, they score in like the 85th minute, and then like a counterattack at the end of the game when Japan are like pushing men forward to try and tie it, and they make it 3-1. It'll look maybe more distant than it is. I think that's what I'm going to go with. 3-1 Brazil. But Japan will make it absolutely competitive. Ivory Coast versus Norway. This is also a pretty interesting one because Norway, dark horse shout, and also Ivory Coast have looked very, very good. They've looked very good. This, like, maybe it's a boring thing, but like they look like they're kind of even teams. Like, this looks like another 2-2 and 2-2 and a team winning on penalties. I'm going to lean towards Norway, literally for the only reason that because it was my prediction that they'd be the dark horses. Again, completely biased, but Ivory Coast, don't count them out because they look good. So I'm gonna. It's kind of a boring one, but yeah, I'm gonna predict the 2-2 and Norway to win on pens. Very biased, but I'm hoping more than anything that is what happens. Mexico versus Ecuador. That is also going to be a pretty interesting match. Like that, like Ecuador look good in their final game, but obviously they've been flopping a little bit until the final game against Germany, and obviously Mexico have kind of steamrolled the group. I actually think maybe it won't be as competitive as it seems on paper, in my opinion, because Ecuador are like a hot and cold team. They'll either be hot or they'll be cold. I think Ecuador are going to be cold in this matchup because I think Mexico are going to ride that wave again, that host nation, but like that host nation momentum type of thing. Mexico win 2-0. That's my opinion. That is my prediction. I think Ecuador try their best, but I think they really do run hot and cold. It seems this Ecuador team, and I think Mexico will pull it out. I think they'll get it done. England versus DR Congo. So again, as I was saying in the group stage, I was saying DR Congo had a pretty tough draw, but a winnable game because yeah, England has shown their frailties. They've shown how sometimes they struggle to break teams in a low block down. So that's what the Congo will do, and they're going to try and beat them on the counterattack. That's what they did, and that's what's gotten them out of the group is low block and beating them on the counterattack. That's how they got their goal against Portugal to get the draw, which was a very necessary point to help them get through. So I think they'll make it competitive, and I think this probably could be like one of the most boring games. I'll be honest, because England can make it very boring at times. They can make it very boring. If unless like the Portugal game's super boring, like I'm thinking like 1-0 England. That's my idea. I'm thinking 1-0 England. That's what I'm going to predict. Like like maybe after extra time, not sure. I think I'm gonna say in normal time England win 1-0. Maybe like a like a 78th minute goal from Morgan Rogers or something like that. Like some random some guy who maybe hasn't scored in the tournament yet. Like to just finally after like a whole game of them having possession of the ball and trying to break them down and the Congo trying their best and being super resilient, England finally find a way, maybe off a corner, and they get their goal. Like that probably I feel like that'll probably be the kind of flow of the game, let's say. That's my prediction. Australia versus Egypt. This is also like an unknown quantity, really. Like you don't really know what's going to happen, I think. This is definitely going to be a very interesting one for sure. What actually what actually happens. I'm going to back Egypt again because of a little bit of a bias, but I'm going to back Egypt to do this. I don't know cuz Australia aren't bad. They're a solid team. They're a solid team. I think I'm going to say Egypt 3-1. I'm going to say Egypt 3-1. I think Egypt have looked pretty good at this World Cup so far, and they already beat New Zealand 3-1. So maybe that's a little bit too because New Zealand are a worse team than Australia, but maybe not by that much in my opinion, not by that much. So Egypt have been looking good, and I'm gonna say that they beat Australia 3-1. But this is another like unknown quantity. It can go really either way. In all honesty, if I'm gonna be real, like don't forget Australia almost upset Argentina in it was the quarterfinal. Was it the no? It was the round of 16 of the World Cup 2022. Because Argentina were cruising, and then Australia scored a goal. They made it 2-1, and they made it very tense at the end of that game. I remember watching that game. So like they almost came back and upset Argentina in the last World Cup. So they can do some interesting stuff. This team. But I'm gonna back Egypt, and I'm gonna back them to go on a little bit of a run as well. Argentina versus Cabo Verde. This is the unfortunate reality is that Cabo Verde they had such a great group stage. They were the underdogs of the tournament. They're still the underdogs of the tournament, but they're playing Argentina. And unfortunately, I think like this is where their reign of terror ends a little bit. They're gonna get exposed a little bit because it's just like the quality is just gonna completely outmaneuver them. Like it's really unfortunate because I want them to do well. I wish they had a better draw, but I'm saying Argentina very comfortable 3-0 win. Like it's not gonna be like a dominant performance, mostly because Argentina don't do that type of a thing. They don't beat teams like 5-0, but 3-0 seems pretty right to me. Like another Messi goal or two. Like it's unfortunate that they've tried so hard, they made it happen, and now they're gonna come up against one of the favorites to win the tournament. But I get again, it's how the cookie crumbles. I've already said that phrase a couple of times in this video, so that's what's gonna be happening. I think that's my prediction for that. Switzerland versus Algeria. This is also kind of a little bit of another unknown quantity, but I think the Swiss will take it. The Swiss have looked they have been professional, let's say. They have been professional in getting through their group and Algeria kind of had to scramble a little bit to get out of theirs. So I think Switzerland will take this. How comfortable? Maybe not comfortable. I think 2-1. 2-1 is probably solid. Like 2-1 in normal time is probably a solid thing to predict. Algeria will try, but I think Switzerland, it's just going to be like another professional performance from Switzerland. They'll make it through. The final match of the round of 32, Colombia versus Ghana. This is also a very interesting one because Colombia are doing well, but Ghana are not a bad team. They're not going to roll over and die either, right? So this could be this is another game that could really be anything. Honestly, it can be anything. I don't really know what I'm going to predict. It'll be entertaining. It'll be entertaining for sure. And I'm thinking, I don't know. Like I'm thinking like 2-2, but like are Ghana going to score 2 goals? I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm going to go for it. I think I'm going to go for Colombia to win 3-2 after extra time. It's going to be one of those. I think that's going to be what I predict here. It can be anything. I think it can be anything. But Ghana, they're going to compete. They're going to make it difficult. It's kind of bold to say that they'll score 2 goals, but I say it might happen. It might happen, or it'll just be like a super entertaining 0-0 draw, kind of like Colombia versus Portugal. It'll just be like a super entertaining 0-0 draw, and we'll see what happens on pens. I think these predictions aren't bad. I've tried to be a little bit like have a little bit of variety. I'm not trying to predict every game to end like 2-1 or 2 goals or 1 goal. Like I've tried my best to put a little variety in here. But like yeah, the safe prediction is to say 2-1, right? That's like the safest prediction you can say in a football match. That's like the safest thing, 2-1, right? I think if I get one or two of these right, it's a success. If I get none of them right, it's kind of an embarrassment. But I want to get one or two right. That's kind of the success I want to have. I will probably make another video maybe after the quarterfinal round. So like as we're entering the semis, that's going to be the next video that I talk about the World Cup from. So there's still a few days till I do that. But I hope you enjoyed this one. This is me kind of wrapping it up. This is like my analysis on the group stage and my predictions for the round of 32. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was entertaining. I hope, like, what do you think of my takes? I think my takes are pretty solid, like a lot of safe takes, but maybe some bolder takes. Let me know. Do I got the ball knowledge? Let me know in the comments, and show your support on this episode, on this show in any way that you can. Leaving a like, subscribing to the show on Spotify, on YouTube, and following the show on Spotify. I do have to wrap it up. I gotta get going. It's gonna be a long day for me today, so I gotta get this video edited and posted. So thank you for watching this episode of the 365 Podcast. Continue to glorify God every day throughout your life, and as always, I'll see you tomorrow for the next one.